Today's Meta Monday features the main character of Digimon Seekers, Eiji Nagasumi, and his partner, Loogamon. Loogamon is the newest X-Antibody member and in some people's minds was the X-Antibody Garurumon. And boy, were they right. This archetype utilizes a lot of members of the Dark Animal trait, and a new archetype in the form of SOC, the Sons of Chaos. If you haven't been keeping up with my Digimon Seekers, I have currently 11 chapters up on my channel. Due to actors and schedule delays, I have a backlog to go through. But enough of that, you came here for a deck profile. Let's get to it. This deck runs 4 level 2s, 12 level 3s, 10 level 4s, 8 level 5s, 4 level 6s, 1 level 7, 6 option cards, and 9 Tamers. For level 2s, I strictly run the Bowmons. This Digimon has an inheritable effect of your turn when a Digimon card with Dark Animal or SOC is trashed from your hand. This Digimon may Digivolve into that card. Although you still have to pay the Digivolution cost, a lot of your Dark Animal and SOC Digimon have when Digivolving effects. That could trigger a play of another Digimon that cascades into another memory gain. If Bowmon isn't your cup of tea, you could always jump back to Demimeramon for the draw 1 trash 1 on deletion, but there's a reason why Bowmon is the preferred egg for this deck. Level 3 wise, I've seen lists run anywhere from 8 to 12 rookies. Remember, I did a video a few months back that detailed the chance of you getting a rookie in your opening hand, and then a rookie again after a mulligan. I personally can't do less than 12 rookies unless it's security control. Out of all the lists you find on the internet, Loogamon is a guaranteed 4 of in your deck. This Digimon at the start of your main phase allows you to place one Eiji Nagasumi from hand or trash under this Digimon to gain 1 memory. Its inheritable gains you a memory once per turn when a Digimon with Dark Animal or SOC in its traits is played. In some ways, this Digivolution line is parallel to another certain Digivolution line, albeit instead of Tamers, it's Dark Animal and SOC trait Digimon. But of the 8 remaining cards in the deck, these are very flexible depending on your local meta and playstyle. Dracmon is my secondary choice for its searchability, an ability to set up your trash simultaneously. It also lets you Digivolve into Digimon from the trash, meaning if you lose certain cards from security, never fear, you'll get them later. Keep in mind, like Bowmon, you must pay the Digivolution cost. Fastcomon offers an inheritable draw 1 and trash 1 at the end of your opponent's turn, or even the same effect on deletion. But conveniently, this Digimon has the Dark Animal trait. Another variation of Fastcomon, this one from the Beelzemon starter deck, simply has Blocker. But in the grand scheme of testing, Blue Flare is one of the Dark Horse decks that always gives me a little fear. And with this deck putting out multiple bodies, Psychmon is a great counter to this deck. That being said, with Blue Hybrid also on the horizon, Psychmon ultimately may be dropped and instead, Gazimon may be my floodgate again. This deck in some ways is kind of a purple version of Jesmon, setting up in the raise and then going for multiple checks before ending the game in 1 turn. But I'll explain more when I get to the combos. For your level 4s, again, Loogarmon is your mandatory 4 of in the deck. This Digimon when attacking has an effect that lets you trash 1 card, then draw 1. If Eiji Nagasumi is in this Digimon's Digivolution sources, gain 1 memory. Its inheritable is your turn, once per turn when a card with the Dark Animal or SOC trait is played. Also gain 1 memory. Because of the way you can trigger effects, assuming you have Eiji, you can trash a card, draw 1, and gain a memory. With Bowmon's effect, you can now Digivolve into that discarded Dark Animal or SOC trait Digimon for its Digivolution cost. Fangmon helps with recycling your helloogarmons or other components that you may need, while placing your components like Black Gatomons in the trash for later use. While Black Gatomon can be a finisher with its rush mechanic. In terms of ratios, I might drop the Black Gatomon down to 2 and bump Fangmon up to 4. Right now it's a little matchup dependent on what you'd want more of, but as of right now, I have it as a 3-3 split. Presently, there aren't any real alternatives to the deck, unless you want other mechanisms for trashing cards to the deck like Dobermon. In which case, you might also look into another consideration in the option cards. But level 5s is where some players may get a little offended, but I have my reasoning as always. My variant of the deck presently runs only solloogarmon and the helloogarmons at their maximum 4 copies. I'll go ahead and rip off the band-aid for that other consideration, Chimeramon. Chimeramon is an interesting Digimon to add to this particular build, mainly because if you play 2 or more bodies off Fenriloogamon's effect, this gives this Digimon the perfect DNA fodder if you go for the alliance checks, and then make Chimeramon for game. Sadly, I just feel there are too many cards that bottom deck or trash it, meaning from my perspective I'm looking at not running it right now because of it not being efficiently used. Some players may utilize it as a 1 of, and others, 2 of. For me, I'll just stick to the doggos. Solloogarmon is the primary level 5 you want to go to when you full combo. This Digimon when Digivolving may play 1 level 3 or lower Digimon from trash without paying the cost. If AG is in the sources, add 1 to the maximum level. Additionally, when attacking, by trashing 1 card in your hand, gain 1 memory. If this Digimon is the one that declared an attack, you could pitch Fenriloogamon to the trash, then use Bowmon's effect to Digivolve up into the Fenriloogamon, resulting in a lot of mechanics triggering. Loogamon and loogarmon gain a memory each, since the Digimon will most likely be played, by Fenriloogamon, and then solloogarmon's effect triggers to unsuspend your Fenriloogamon because a Digimon with Dark Animal or SOC trait was most likely played. As for helloogarmon, this Digimon is more so assisting with the cycling in your deck. And believe me, this deck is chock full of it. End of your turn, delete this Digimon, and draw 2. Then you may return 1 Loogamon from your trash to your hand. On deletion, you trash up to 3 cards with Dark Animal or SOC trait in your hand, and delete 1 of your opponent's level 3 or lower Digimon. For each card trashed by this effect, add 1 to the maximum level, meaning in some respect you can delete even level 6 Digimon. This Digimon is a mini-boss, and kind of an Eismon scatter mode, but for specifically Dark Animal and SOC trait Digimon. Love this card because it can fix your hand or remove threats on the board. But now it's time to cover the monster of this set, potential contender for BT14, and one of the dogs of war unleashed for nationals. Fenriloogamon. This level 6 Digimon has one of the most unique effects in the Digimon trading card game, being able to change the condition of turn change to your opponent being exactly 3 memory. Put your opponent to 1 or 2 memory? Nope. Memory fixers don't change the turn yet. This big boy does instead. But if you thought that was the only unique effect, you're wrong. When Digivolving, this Digimon puts out 1 level 4 or lower Digimon card with Dark Animal or SOC in its traits from your trash without paying the cost. However, if you have AG Nagasumi also in the Digivolution sources, you get to add 2 to the maximum number of Digimon played. For a total of potentially 3 Digimon added to the mix, my reasoning for putting 3 Black Godamons in the deck versus 2 is primarily because if I'm able to get all 3 in the trash early enough, that's a lot of free rush bodies. Is it likely to happen? Not necessarily, but it does increase the chances for 2. But wait, there's still more! When attacking, once per turn by deleting 1 of your opponent's level 3 or lower Digimon, unsuspend this Digimon. For each of your Digimon, add 1 to the maximum level of the Digimon you can choose with this effect. So remember how you just brought out 3 Digimon because you had AG Mind Linked? You get to delete a level 6 or lower Digimon, assuming Fenriloogamon was the only Digimon out to begin with. No substitutions because you have so many ways to cycle through the deck that you're going to find one of these sooner or later. Hopefully they print another one, but with not as many effects. Level 7 wise, this deck runs a single copy of Shine-Greymon Ruin Mode. It's not the primary of the deck, which is why I don't run more than 1 level 7, nor would I recommend it. Ruin Mode is a great counter for wider building boards. Does it come up often? Not necessarily. But man is it funny after you finish your combo and you're 1 body short for game, that you go into this Digimon to literally say, promote. I dare you. The only other substitution for this slot would be Death Exmon. Choose your poison. Option card wise, this deck runs 6. 4 Wisdom Training to get that reduced Digivolution cost up to maximize your combo ability for the deck. In total, this deck has only 4 cards that whiff when you flip the top 2 cards, that being Analog Youth. Missed Memory Boost is the other option that is a little bit more RNG, trashing 2 cards off the top and letting you draw 1. It does put some of your Digimon in the trash potentially, but it can also put your Tamers in there as well. Luckily, Loogamon can fetch AG Nagasumi from the trash if that happens, but for everyone else, goodbye. Substitutions here, you could run Purple Memory Boost instead, but really you want to get more cards in the trash for potentially playing off Fenriloogamon's effect. Otherwise, some lists I've looked into had Calling from Darkness for the retrieval of pieces, and even Rivals Barrage. Honestly, I feel Rivals Barrage isn't a bad choice, especially if you're running Missed Memory Boosts and Dobermons. And lastly, for the whopping 9 Tamers, the first tech I have in this deck is one Matt Ishida from the new starter deck. While a memory fixer, the important element of this is that when you trash a card by card effect, you may suspend this Tamer to gain a memory. Very helpful overall for your more memory efficient plays. I found spending a turn playing the memory fixer to be a hindrance, which is why again, it's at 1. But for the remaining Tamers, they are a mandatory 4 of. Analog Youth combos very well with helloogarmon, potentially being able to keep turn when a level 5 or higher Digimon with sources is deleted, and then raising a new egg. But its on-play effect is most effective, in that you reveal the top 3 cards, add 1 Digimon, then trash the remaining cards. Pretty good in a purple deck, and honestly was one of the contentions for a lot of content creators in getting restricted. The last Tamer, of course, is Eiji Nagasumi. This 3-cost purple Tamer can be immediately placed under Loogamon at the start of your main phase, which, if Eiji is out, you gain a memory first if your opponent has a Digimon in play. Once you go to start of main phase, if Loogamon slots that Eiji, that's another memory gain. When Eiji is checked in security, you play him. And also during your main phase, he has Mind Link. This gives your Digimon with Dark Animal or SOC in their trait Alliance and Blocker. And like the Satsuki Tamehime Tamer, you can unslot him at the end of all turns, whether you want to protect the Tamer or leave it under for the inheritable Blocker. Strengths and weakness wise, this deck is functionally very similar to Jessamon, and in some ways, more generic. While you don't have an option card like from Master to Disciple, at least not yet, you have a fairly consistent engine that's separate from the upcoming restricted one. Weakness wise, wider boards that can outpace you can be a problem. It definitely felt like Digipolice had a better matchup than this deck, while other single stack decks like War Greymon and Jessamon became a race. The setup in floodgates like Madoki Betamon, Terriermon, Shumon, and Gazimon can also be problematic and stop you from gaining memory and retaining turn. Combo wise, ideally you are looking to trash early with cards like Missed Memory Boost, helloogarmon, and Analog Youth. Doing so sets you up for your final push late game. While yes, it's not as straightforward as Jessamon who plays Sistermons from hand, Fenriloogamon needs that trash filled. But if you've established a decent trash, your ideal play is having Loogamon in the raise and 1 to 2 wisdom trainings already in play. Promote Loogamon and put Eiji Nagasumi underneath for 1 memory. Assuming you're at 2 memory, you can delay a training and go into loogarmon for free. Another delay to digivolve into solloogarmon for 1. Although you're at 1 memory, when you attack with solloogarmon, you can pitch a Fenriloogamon and digivolve up into it with Beaumont's effect for 4, putting your opponent to 3. However, solloogarmon will gain you a memory when attacking, and then Fenriloogamon playing multiple Digimon will gain you a memory each from Loogamon and loogarmon, resulting in memory back to 0. But if they have floodgates, you have a problem, considering Fenriloogamon's removal effect is only utilized when attacking. Because a Digimon with SOC, or Dark Animal in its traits was played, solloogarmon also gives you an unsuspend. That's 1 check. Now when attacking, you can suspend one of your Digimon to give your Digimon Alliance, +1 security, and whatever DP that Digimon had. Now you can trigger the when attacking effect to once per turn, delete a Digimon your opponent controls, and then unsuspend. Alliance again for another 2 checks, and then a Black Automon for game. While BT14 is a great start to this deck, EX5 adds a few members to the Dark Animal and Beast in the form of Labramon, Dobermon, and Cerberusmon X. However, of these 3 members, the only one you might consider would be Labramon, for the fact that it has a more generic inheritable to Loogamon. Unfortunately, Eiji can't mind link to this Digimon, but regardless, most of the EX5 lists I looked at on Digimon Meta change little to nothing between BT14 and EX5, making this list largely what I would play in EX5 with the few mentioned substitutes. In general, Eiji Nagasumi and Loogamon bring a whole new way to play the Digimon card game. While yes, having that extra 2 memory can be huge, having to put your opponent to exactly 3 or more memory could be a costly game error. What are your thoughts, and what do you like most about this deck? Let me know your thoughts as I continue exploring more deck profiles for the upcoming BT14 format. But more importantly, Digimon's Nationals. This is Digi-Panda, logging out.